You have been cordially invited, and we welcome you to a Zeta Mu live event. This is where the members of Zeta Mu chapter of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated give you a quality live event. So sit back, relax, and thank you for joining us. All right. Happy Saturday. We are here. Thank you to everyone who is joining us right now. Welcome to Women's History Month. My name is Erica Belton. I'm the chapter president of the Zeta Mu chapter of Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. We have a wonderful event for you all today. I see that we already have people in the comments. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us know where you're from, what chapter you're from, and thank you for joining us. So, I'm going to turn it over to one of my fabulous newest members, Miss Charmaine Johnson. She will be the host of this wonderful event with all of these fabulous ladies. And of course, did I tell you that it's Women's History Month? Okay. So we're going to come represent and give you all some vital information from these beautiful women in their different professions. So Miss Charmaine, of course, she's diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is what we need in the world today. But what she doesn't know is she's going to be one of my new resume experts, divas for the Zeta Mu chapter because she does such an amazing job on her own social media, honey. So we're going to make sure we put some of her stuff on our Zeta Mu page. So if you want that information about resumes and how to make it work and get the job, we're gonna claim it and get the job. Be sure to like our page, and if you want to know about our programming and our projects, this is where you want to be. So, Miss Charmaine, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, President Belton. We so much appreciate you. Greetings to everyone. Again, I'm Charmaine Johnson, your moderator today for this awesome panel of women in honor of Women's History Month. The Women's History Month theme is women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. The theme recognizes those who understand the need to eliminate discrimination, shatter barriers, and transform the landscape of progress across society. So let me introduce you to this phenomenal panel. First, we have Laverne Bird. Laverne worked for the federal government for over 40 years with service to the Library of Congress and the United States Census Bureau. She served as the survey statistician in the Economic Indicators Division. She worked with international trade statistics and was a part of a team that creates the monthly U.S. International Trade in Goods and Services Report, which is an economic measure that affects the United States financial markets. Laverne actively served as the vice president of several different councils and locals. To name a few, a member of the Census Bureau Labor Management Council, the local political coordinator, and as a union representative, she secured counsel for the FLSA overtime case, which resulted in employees receiving millions of dollars in back pay. She was also an advocate for employees at the Census Bureau, and she served as the vice chair of the Census Bureau's Diversity and Inclusion Council. And under this leadership, the council established over 50 employee resource groups that promoted awareness of issues affecting employees, provided employee support systems, and advocated for issues. Laverne has countless awards in leadership as well as the diversity, equity, and inclusion. So welcome, Laverne. One of our panelists, Sharon Hall, could not make it today, so we wanted to acknowledge her and thank her for trying to make it prayers for you at your time of emergency. Our next guest is Dr. Haywood, Yolanda Haywood. Dr. Haywood is the Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Faculty Affairs and Professor of Emergency Medicine at the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Services. Dr. Haywood is a graduate of the Howard University College of Medicine. She completed residency training in emergency medicine at Georgetown University, George Washington University, and the University of Maryland Combined Training Program. She later joined the faculty at George Washington University Medical Center. Her career has included positions as Emergency Medicine Clerkship Director, Associate Dean for Student and Curricular Affairs, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, and her current position as Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Faculty Affairs and co-director of the Anti-Racism Coalition. She's doing a lot. Her career has focused on building communities of learners that are psychologically safe, particularly in those who are marginalized, underrepresented, and othered. She is the proud mother of 3 beautiful human beings who gave her 7 grandchildren to learn from and love. Welcome, Dr. Haywood. Dr. Mercedes Jackson was born in Hinesville, Georgia, to a military family. Dr. Jackson attended the University of Virginia for her undergraduate degree. She received her Doctor of Dental Surgery degree at Howard University College of Dentistry. After dental school, she completed a general practice residency in Bangor, Maine. She has worked in a variety of settings, including an Indian health reservation and a federally qualified health center. Dr. Jackson is also a captain in the U.S. Army Reserve, where she serves as a dentist and the officer in charge for the unit's Soldier and Family Readiness Group. She works on the military base, where she provides dental care for soldiers so that they can be ready for their next mission or deployment. She currently resides in Virginia with her husband and 2 kids. In her free time, she enjoys traveling and seeing the world. And our next, welcome, Mercedes. Erica Green Swafford is a writer, performer, and executive producer known for her writing on The Mentalist, How to Get Away with Murder, and NBC's highly acclaimed medical drama, New Amsterdam. She is currently developing shows for the Onyx Collective. Erica began her career in the hospitality industry after graduating from Cornell University. Then later, after graduating from the Anderson School of Management at the University of California, Los Angeles, she joined Oxygen Network as the television executive. In her spare time, she tells stories, dances with abandon, and teaches a cooking class or 2. Welcome these phenomenal women to the panel. Welcome.
Thank you, Charmaine.
Thank you.
Now, to start our discussion, we have our first question, which we'll ask for all of you. What does equity, diversity, and inclusion mean to you? We can start with you, Laverne. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, you warned us about that. I'm sorry. It means that we must realize that we are all different. Initially, it was thought that diversity was more about race and gender. While it is still about these 2 aspects, are components, it goes much further. It is all the ways in which we differ. And some examples are maybe our different education levels, our marital status, our nationality, whether we are immigrants or not, what part of the nation we come from. Do we come from the north, the south, the east, the west? Are we traveled abroad or not? These are just some examples. And because of all of these differences, they combine to make us stronger and a more capable nation, I would think. It enhances our diverse thoughts, our ideas, and outlooks and opinions.
Awesome. Would anybody like to follow?
Sure. I don't know if I'm on mute. Am I on mute?
No, we can hear
I'm
you.
not on mute. Sure. I think for me, when I think about diversity, equity, and inclusion as a whole, and the work that I do in the healthcare industry, I think of I think all the work that I do is about dismantling a structure or a system that has been in place that has intentionally advantaged some individuals while intentionally disadvantaging other individuals. And I know each of those words, diversity, equity, and inclusion, have special meanings and have a special part of that work. But for me, I spend most of my work is really trying to take down systems that have not been, that don't promote the principles of each of those things: diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, we can get real deep in that one. Thank you. So, sorry, Yolanda. Anyone else?
To me, it means in your environment, in your atmosphere, looking around and seeing people that look like you at different stages and levels, and just embracing everyone's differences. And I feel like it's important because it makes everyone feel comfortable and included.
Great. Thank you.
I wanted to bring up, I work in the entertainment industry. And so for me, diversity, equity, and inclusion is about representation. The importance of seeing not only people who look like you, but people who don't look like you existing in a natural state. There's so much that can be said, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so when you see people in a specific way over and over again, then that sort of gives lie to information about a specific group, whether it be women, whether it be people of color, whether it be people that are financially disadvantaged. And so I find that it is my charge as a person of underrepresented groups historically within my industry to make sure behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera, there is a representation. I also wanted to bring up the boogeyman that we're not talking about, and that is the system that we are all living under has been created predominantly by white males. So, this is a Women's History Month, and I don't want this to be in opposition to people who classify themselves as men, but it is a structure that has been specifically made, sometimes perniciously, but often in omission of everyone else. And so you are fighting against a system that is very comfortable for a group of people because they created that system. And so all of these things that we're doing are an answer, a way to create some sort of equity. I'm not saying equal pie. Not everybody's going to get the same amount of pie, but it is important to acknowledge that the system that was set up in the first place was not designed for everybody. And in order to rectify that, we need to have programs like this. It's not negative. It just is. It's necessary. And so I just wanted to bring that up as well.
Thank you. You kind of took us into the next segment. One of the things you said is equity and equality, two totally different things, right? So people get that mixed up sometimes. But another thing you said is something that Yolanda said. We are all diverse in some kind of way. We all bring some type of diversity into the setting. And so I am a diversity and inclusion practitioner by trade. So some organizations, some people feel the overall sentiment of diversity appears to be positive. We all look at that positive part. But what about the sentiment of inclusion? Because inclusion seems to be appeared as negative. Everybody looks at a person and says, okay, we got that nugget, we got we're now diverse. We are right now. Okay. But what are you going to do with that person? You can't just leave them there. You have to have some type of inclusion. So, Yolanda, we train and teach diversity. Diversity does not guarantee inclusion. So where is the disconnect when we come to that part?
Yeah, as I've been thinking about that, and I firmly believe that diversity applies to all of us. No two humans have the same exact life experience. We all bring diversity wherever we go, whatever we do, we bring diversity. But I'm sure many of you have heard this metaphor before. People have talked about diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance. So, of course, it's easy to send invitations out to people. What is difficult is to have each person feel like they are actually a part of whatever experiences is occurring. And that is a much more difficult thing to put in place, especially when we live in America where this thing called racism exists. And, many other isms exist to go along with that. So I'm not surprised that what I refer to sometimes as counting the beans. So that's diversity. You sit around and count how many of this you have and how many of that you have. And, you do your data and your institution feels happy because you have, 5% Black and 3% Latin. Some people don't like the word Latinx, but it is a word of convenience. Or, whatever it is that you're counting. But how are those people feeling? How are those people being embraced or welcomed, feeling part of the organization? Are their voices being heard? It's a much more difficult thing to put in place. And there is much more opposition to that idea than there is to simply the idea of having people be present. Because if people are present and they have no voice, it really doesn't matter that much. So I think that we can expect that, as was pointed out by Erica, we can expect that people who've experienced the privilege of being who they are going to be very resistant to something that's going to change that. That shouldn't surprise us. We should actually expect it. And I think we really have to work very hard I'm always asking myself, why would somebody who's enjoyed the privilege of who they are, why would they want to break that down? Why would they want to? What reason would they have for helping you change that? So for me, my work is trying to figure out where I can connect with that why and get people to be abolitionists.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Erica, would you like to talk about inclusion within the entertainment industry?
You mean the dumpster fire that is inclusion in the entertainment industry? Of course. I feel like everyone has their microcosm of the larger society, and mine within specifically the entertainment industry. Despite the fact that we have come at a crossroads in other ways, we just came out of a strike for the last 7 months, fighting for a small amount of things versus a larger group. But within terms of inclusion, like I said, it is representation. What do you think about when you see a Black woman on screen? 30 years ago, there was a huge prevalence of women who were Black who also happened to be prostitutes. because that's how they were regarded on television unless you were Claire Huxtable. It's very odd the way that things have changed, but that's because more people are being included and having conversations about what is going to be their representation as well as other people's representation on screen. We have made some inroads, and we have a very, very, very long way to go in terms of our inclusion in the entertainment industry. And as I said, you know, whether it be music, whether it be anything, the way that you are transmitted speaks way more than the words. The words come later, but the way that they see you is important. And as an industry, we have our own systems now sort of holding feet to the fire to varying degrees of success. In terms of making sure that not only are we seeing more people, whether it is people with different abilities, whether it's you know, dispossessed lands, Native Americans, first generation people, not making sure every story happens in Los Angeles or Atlanta or New York, you know, making sure the square states, as we call them, are represented so that people feel that they are seen and that they are heard. And to make sure that that happens, you also have to make sure that those people are a part of that process so that you don't have the disconnect of, well, that doesn't sound authentic. Well, of course it doesn't sound authentic because there was no one in the room that could say, I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense to the lived experience of people who look like me or who act like me or who have come from circumstances as I have. And so it really is this pushing a rock up a hill. And a very, very hard, very, very jagged, not very or round rock. But we are going to continue to fight that fight and hope that we set up the next generation a little bit better than the generation before us. And I can say with pride that, you know, people, Harry Belafonte, the Diane Carrolls, the Ruby Dees, they set us up with as much as they could. And now we have taken that. And so you have the Deborah Martin Chases, you have Yvette Lee Bowsers who've created television series and movies, you have your Oprahs who are now have also set us up. And so then that's why you can have an Issa Rae. That's why you can have a Lena Waithe, who is a queer Black woman who's in charge of multiple series, you know, in Kechi Okoro Carol's. Now we are starting to sort of really fluff ourselves out in the Black woman space, but there are still so many laggards in other places that we need to sort of address.
Awesome, thank you. Mercedes, would you like to hone in on inclusion within the military? The military has always seemed like a place that it didn't matter where you were from. If you were a part of, you know, my team, you were included. But I'm an outsider looking in. So
Yeah, I would say that over the years, it has definitely improved. It's something that we're still working on in the military, but I can see the difference already in terms of when my dad was in the military compared to where we are now in 2024. I see it right now at work. The commander of the dental clinics for the East Coast is an African-American female. And, you know, that positivity is instilled in me and it makes me proud and it makes me feel comfortable and like I could relate to her. And it makes me feel like, hey, you know, I could do that one day. That could be me, or that could be, you know, the children that come behind me. So it's definitely making improvements, but we still have a ways to go.
Erica,
So I did have something I wanted to add.
please.
Okay, so I noticed most of my career was at the Census Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk down the halls of the Census Bureau, it seemed very diverse. I mean, you'd have people, you know, of Indian descent, Latino descent, you know, Black, white. You had everybody in the hallways. Mm-hmm. But as you got up to the C-suite or the executive level, that was a different story. I mean, it seems like, okay, so we brought in a lot of diverse people at the bottom of the rung, but as you climb that ladder, there was one spot where it just kind of stuck, you know, like, okay, so we have a lot of diversity here, but from here to here, you know, the inclusion and the diversity seem to disappear. So that was, it's a battle that we're still working on now, trying to rectify that. But it was just something that was obviously noticed. And I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Yes, that's a whole nother series. Because especially within the federal government, once you get to that 13, 14, 15 range, it's seems
challenge.
Like it's a challenge, yes. With you brought back an experience that I had when I first moved to the DC area. I was living in Missouri, and there wasn't many people in the higher grades that looked like me. And so when I walked into the office for the first time and saw this Black man standing there, he's a 15. It's like, wow, there are Black people in 15s, So yes, we've done a lot better, but we can do better.
Right.
We can still do better. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Erica, what are some of your personal experiences or reasons that motivated you to care about women's empowerment?
Well, I was born with a vulva, and and I was born. I was, gratefully born a Black woman into a family that made sure that I knew how beautiful, how talented, how special I was. When especially I was in spaces where I was not necessarily the one. I was the chocolate chip in the cookie. And so it became my raison d'etre, as we like to say, when I got into the entertainment industry, to make sure that we're not just the plucky best friend on the side, that we are represented in our fullness. Any of the characters that I have been had the privilege so far to write for, I have made sure that there is some element of my life and my lived experience, or the lived experiences that people I have known have had, and that is against mighty headwinds. I had a great experience on my first show, The Mentalist. I was there for 6 seasons. There were only 2 women in the writer's room the entire time. And one was fired the first season and another one was brought on. So, and then I was the person of color in the room. So it was 9 writers and 8 of them were white men. I mean, 7 were white men and 1 was a white woman at all times. And then there was me. And so I felt like I had to continually put my little Black girl section hand up. And I was not only representing Black women or African-American people, I was representing people from the East Coast. I was representing Native Americans. I was representing Asian people. They had an Asian lead character. And I was like, I don't know if we're really necessarily approaching this in the best way for, his lived experience. Oh, we'll figure it out. And so as I've gone on in my career, I have taken all of those experiences and made sure that there is a fullness in everything that I do, as God is my witness. We can be, Black female presence in the United States. We can have multiple lovers and it not be a sin, Tyler Perry. We can do all sorts of things on screen because we occupy our rightful space within the universe. And so therefore our stories are universal. And so that is my guiding sort of principle when I go into doing anything within writing or creation of character, storyline, all of those things. It needs to feel and resonate authentically. I make sure that my privilege as a person that is upper middle class, that is 3rd generation college educated, all of those things need to be checked by other people because I also have blinders as well. And I just want to make sure that these are richly told stories and richly told characters.
Awesome. That explains why I could connect to some of the characters in The Mentalist and How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, when Miss Cicely Tyson, may she continue to rest in peace, the storyline where she talks about setting her own house on fire when her daughter was raped by her brother. That was my story, not my life, but the way she told it, she was scratching up Annalise's scalp. And my mother and I would often have conversations when she is scratching up my scalp, washing my hair, putting on the, sulfate, all of those things. That was a very, very personal moment that I decided to put into the show. And I was given the leeway by a gay white male to do that, because he was like, I have all of these writers on the show to bring real experiences to sort of push me to understand that there are different ways, different relationships, and things like that. So,
great, thank you. Would anyone else like to chime in on that question? Your
Yes.
personal.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I relate with Erica as far as upbringing. Thank God, I was told I was smart. Thank God, I was told I was beautiful. Thank God, I was told that there was anything I could do. I could do anything, if I put my mind to it and if I worked hard. So that was a foundation that I came from, and it hurts me that so many women don't have that firm foundation, because when you have that foundation, you can go anywhere. You can go to any room and you can know that, wait a minute, you're no better than I am. We had the same opportunities. We might have had the same opportunities, but we made different choices. So you're no better than I am, and I'm no better than you are. So it's always been a passion of mine to first empower myself. And well, I don't know, I kind of came empowered. I don't know. but to empower those around me, So I love like learning constantly, going to seminars. I believe it or not, I listen to webinars. I'm constantly, oh my gosh, I got 2 clashing webinars. How can I watch them both? I mean, I love it, and I love helping out not just women, but other people as well. I love making them empowered, saying like, hey, wait a minute, you can do this. I understand you're afraid, but we all are a little bit afraid, but you have to overcome that. Just try it. I know you think that, oh my goodness, I might not, I might fall, I might not make it, I might not accomplish it. But what if you do? What if you do? Focus on that, Don't focus on, I may not do it. Focus on, I'm knocking it out the park, So I just wanted to add that little bit.
Awesome. I had a pastor that used to say all the time, it don't matter if you're afraid, do it afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Do it anyway.
Right.
Anyone else want to chime in?
I did want to follow up one small thing. And it was brought to mind by what she just said, in terms of, if you don't have the role model at home, this is a service organization, and this is where, rising tides together will raise boats. Your friend set is just as important. People who love you and cherish you that may not necessarily have the same bloodline can also sort of give you that ballast and send you upward in that trajectory. And then also be that for another person if you are that. If this is a Women's History Month conversation, it's the importance of being, your sister's keeper. And so you're not going to necessarily find it in the traditional places, and sometimes you're going to have to seek it in other places. And so just remembering that, there are people, they might piss you off all the time, but if they are challenging you in positive ways, then maybe they should be a part of your circle. So just remember that it's going to come from a lot of different places.
Great point. Yes. Thank you. You agree?
I was just going to say, as I think about my life and I think about the many women that I know, finding whoever can be that bridge over troubled waters for you is such an important point that Erica just made. I went to college. I was, I got into college, but in the 4 years that I was in college, I had 3 kids, and I was very quickly separated and then divorced from the father of those children. And there were a whole bunch of people who helped build bridges over troubled waters for me, including my family. So I just think, as we all think about the challenges that we faced in our lives and how we've managed to accomplish whatever it is we've accomplished, it hasn't been because we were so great. It's usually been because there were other people who came to help rescue us and support us. Mm-hmm. So I used to think I had to be Superwoman. And then I realized that, number one, I can't be Superwoman. I don't have the capacity to be Superwoman, but I can do super things with the help of people around me who care about me, who I trust, and who I love. So, as this is Women's History Month, just, the idea that women get together and all we do is gossip and, talk about each other and blah, 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 is a ridiculous notion. We support one another. We are, as Erica said so beautifully, we are our sister's keeper. Mm-hmm. If we continue to focus on that, I think we have an awesome opportunity to turn this world upside down. I think we do.
Oh, definitely. So with that, say, Yolanda. Oh, go ahead, Mercedes.
I really connect with and relate to what Miss Laverne was saying, because I grew up in a family. I had my parents, and then they had 3 daughters. So they just taught us, hey, no matter what, you can do anything. The sky's the limit. Anything is possible. But as I grew and developed, I realized that not everyone had that same foundation. So it's so important to, chime in and connect with those around you and recognize, where they are in their life and be able to help them, get to where they need to be. Lately, I've been meeting a lot of women from different countries, and they had a certain status, like they're a doctor in their country or they're a professor in their country. But when they come here to the United States, sometimes they have to redo their, education program, and they're feeling discouraged and they're feeling, like disoriented. And so I'm using this as an opportunity to connect with them and say, hey, I see where you were in your other country, but you could do that here too. Don't give up. And that makes you an even better and stronger candidate here because you're already familiar with the field and the profession.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yes. You all hitting on the next question, which is how do we empower other women and how do we empower ourselves? So what is some advice on or some strategies that we can do we can take on to empower others?
Well, I think that, just whatever you're doing for yourself, bring somebody along with you, invite somebody to, like someone invited me to be, I'm not going to, they will remain nameless, but they know who they are. Someone invited me, to be on this panel, and it was funny because I was saying not too long ago, I said, well, when I see this person coming, I am going to run. And a friend of mine said, well, don't run from her, run to her. And I was like, wow, that was profound, right? Because look what she's doing for me, even though it's, it's getting on my nerves, but I mean, look what she's doing for me, And so you need people like that. And then when people do for you, then you in turn, you do for others. I try to especially the younger women, I try to take them under my wing and say, hey, that looks like an opportunity over there. I think you should apply for that. Hey, this looks good. You should go, maybe move across country if that's what you want to do. I mean, it gives you a different opportunity, different perspectives, So I'm constantly trying to, enhance other women's and men's, skills or opportunities wherever I can. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Laverne. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, you got to pay it forward. Mm-hmm. I think everyone on this panel has been given a lot. We have been given a lot, and it is our responsibility to ensure that we continue to give and not, sit back and glory in whatever we think we've done. So, and I think, really being authentic and showing people your own personal vulnerabilities is helpful for women to understand that, to be successful in this world doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean you've done everything right. It doesn't mean that. So,
Right.
stop there.
Actually, to be successful, that means you've had some failures, right?
Absolutely.
Things
The
that
more
did
than I
not go
want to count.
right. Exactly. Anyone else?
I think Miss Laverne and Miss Yolanda hit the nail on the head. It's pouring into others. I always thought that to be a mentor, I had to be grizzled and at the very end of my career and from my lofty position, I can now dispense wisdom. And when I had people looking at me, asking me questions, I'm like, why are you talking to me? You should be talking, but then you forget how much power you actually contain because your experience is your experience and you've learned a thing or two. And so it can be lateral, it can be a colleague, it can be somebody that's exactly the same age, as well as people down, as well as people up. You can be a mentor to people above you because life changes. Generations go through different things. People are coming back into the workforce or they're having to change into like a whole new position because they've been right-sized in their company and now they are having to come up with some other way to do things. And so you have so much within you that you can give to another. Just accept your plaudits and your talents, and then you can share.
One of my favorite ways to empower women is through networking. So I make it a point to join organizations in my community or go to the women conferences like at my church. And there I mingle and I get to meet other women doing different things in their life and at different stages. And then, I make those connections and contacts. Later on in the future, I might meet someone, a young lady or someone that is, working on their career. And I make it a point to take out time and connect those two individuals. Like, oh, you're applying to this dental school. I know someone that's a part of the committee, the admissions committee at this dental school. Let me connect you guys, you ladies. So that's one of my favorite aspects about empowering women is through networking.
That's a good one.
I just want to say I really love that. And just a quick vignette. I was in Virginia Beach and went into a CVS and the young woman was waiting on me. And so we just struck up a conversation and it turned out she was going to be applying to medical school. And so I exchanged numbers with her. I mean, you just never know where, like you said, Mercedes, you just never know. If you talk to people and open yourself up to hear their stories, a lot of times you can in some way align with them, even if it's just dropping a word. You don't know what it is. But to me, that was like, whoa, I had no idea. I came in here to buy some gum. And I ended up giving this woman my email and phone number, and we've been in touch. So
that's awesome.
It's a great thing.
Yes, mentoring is one of the things that are near and dear to my heart. That's one of the ways that I give back. And I started the Resume Mama Facebook thing, and because I wanted to empower people. You can do this too. If I did it, you can do it. So I believe in that. So thank you for mentioning that. Audience, if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the chat and we can have our panelists respond to them. One other question, since we're talking about empowering women, some women suffer from imposter syndrome, which is something that I used to experience and still do from time to time. As you said, Erica, you don't realize who you are because everybody's asking you questions. Why are you asking me? But they see you in a different light. They see you as that leader. They see you as that person who knows and how did you get there? So with imposter syndrome, for those who don't know, is when a person does not feel successful internally, despite how they are a high performer or they've succeeded in life. So basically, they don't believe in themselves when others do. So what advice do you offer to those that experience imposter syndrome?
Well, I've given a lot of thought to this because I suffer from it a lot. It happens often. It'll pop on like a green monster and then disappear. The first thing I will say is that your feelings are not facts. Okay, so the first thing is your feelings are not facts. Ways to do something for yourself. The first, and it sounds funny, have a pity party.
Just going to get it out.
5 minutes where you say all of the horrible, terrible, terrible things, and you cry. You may dance it out. There are all sorts of things. Give yourself 5 minutes. You put a timer on your phone. 5 minutes. Get it all out. I'm not this. I'm not worth that. Okay. 5 minutes. And then you ask yourself, well, what if that's not the case? You've said all of these things. What if it's not the case? So that's one thing. Another thing that I would love for people to start doing is journaling. What's a good thing that happened during your day? Write it down before you go to bed, and then you wake up with that thought. Oh, I did accomplish that thing. Also, write down your accomplishments. This is a service organization that I'm speaking to, and I know this is to the general public, but y'all just on this panel have so much hardware in terms of the things that you have done. Write down your accomplishments. I used to be a trophy chaser. So, I was a track star, did basketball, debate, all of these things. And I discounted all of those things because I was raised in a society that told me I needed to do 5 times as well in order to get to some weird level, okay, of sustaining myself. And so I discount so much of my accomplishment. And that's where that disconnect will sometimes happen, where it's like, oh, yeah, sure, I am the first person to do this. I am I've done all of these things. And it's like, no, take a deep breath and just look at the things that you have actually accomplished in your life to get here. Whether you are the first person in your family to attain, trade school or 2-year college or 4-year college. You were the first person to do X within your company. You were actually able to solve this problem before. You have literally been told over and over again what a lifesaver you are within your company context or within your friend set or with whatever. There's so many ways that you are being told this, and you just have to take a moment to acknowledge this. The last thing I want to say is sometimes you need to just stand in a room by yourself and do this weird thing. It's called a Superman pose. I don't know if it's a Grey's Anatomy episode where literally you put your hands on your hips, kind of like Superman, and you stand there with your self staring in the mirror with the hands on your hips and your head held high. You do that for about 4 minutes, and then physically you start to feel like you're the ish. It is an autonomic response, something that happens within your body that makes you feel like the queen that you already have been, but you just have to remind yourself. So, whether it's, Hove, allow me to reintroduce myself, where you do this list, whether you make this pose, whether you let people tell you this stuff about you and then you sort of receive it, you give yourself a pity party. Give yourself those moments and then keep doing the greatness that you've already been doing.
Yes, that is awesome. Thank you. I'm going to take all of them. And in case you're wondering, how did we get to these questions? Some questions it's about inclusion. It's about diversity still, because we have to believe in ourselves in order to do the things that we do, right? Would anyone else like to chime in on the imposter syndrome?
So once again, it's about fear. and we all have it. And I think that what Erica said was right on. I mean, I never thought about having a pity party, but that's interesting. But I do think the affirmations are important. I do think your past accomplishments are important. I do think that where you are today is because of what you did yesterday. And if you did it yesterday, you can do it tomorrow. I do believe that. So it's a fear thing, and it's a lack of belief. And I think somebody said that. But we have to believe in ourselves, because if we don't believe in ourselves, who will? I mean, others around you telling you, they believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself as well. And you can do anything. I mean, you're in this position for a reason. I mean, why are you here? There's a reason why you're here. And I think that once you get here, you're going to be able to accomplish it, but you may have to work at it. And somebody said, do men suffer from imposter syndrome? I don't think so.
Wow. That's a great question. Well, I seem to think that some do, but
not
the
many
don't.
Not many, because just like the saying, I was told that when women look at jobs, job postings, if they can't do one thing on there, they don't qualify, they're not going to apply. Men, they can't do half the things on there, and they're applying and expect to get the job. Yes. So it's a mindset. It's a mindset.
I think for me, it's been helpful to acknowledge that I'm feeling that. And I think that's something that's been stated already, but just saying, you know what, right now I am feeling like I am not good enough to be in this space or to do this. And to share that with people I trust, who I know are going to help affirm that, yes, I do. Sometimes you need somebody else to tell you, child, what you talking about?
Yes.
Are you crazy? I love it. And I love the Superwoman pose, because it definitely has a physiological effect on your body.
Yes, it does. Pause just a moment. Our national president-elect for IOTA is online, Wendy B. Jakes. Thank you for joining us. Just wanted to hit in a nugget. Would anyone else like to chime in, Mercedes?
I just feel so inspired by the Superwoman pose, and I could just see my daughter now. She's 11. I'm gonna teach her that, and I can see her. You know what? You can do this. I can see her standing in the mirror and just motivating herself and encouraging herself. And I'm just very inspired by that comment.
Yes, me too. I'm gonna use it. And we do have a gentleman with us. He says in the chat, as a confident man, I can safely say that I and many other men do suffer from imposter syndrome. Thank you, Luis. So it happens to all of us. And you're so right. Most men, regardless of whether they have that experience or not, they can have 30% of the experience and will apply for that job. But if we as women, we have 80% and still won't apply. We think we have to hit all of the buttons, all of the things on that job announcement, but we don't. You'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish just by applying for that job anyway. Are there any questions in the chat? If not, we can keep on talking.
Madam President. Yes. Hi, everybody. All right. We are at our 5-minute warning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the chat and you have any other questions, please feel free to ask your questions to anyone here on the panel. Like my soror Charmaine said, we do have the national president-elect, so Wendy B. Jakes, in the comments. Thank you so very much for joining us. We appreciate you for being here on behalf of the National Board. And Charmaine, you've been doing an amazing job. You're gonna take over all my hosting gigs in IOTA, so that's perfectly fine too. And to the ladies who are here today with us, hearing you all's amazing backgrounds, your purview of your professional world and how to assist us who are still out here trying to make it and dealing with the different types of people in the workplace. So we appreciate you. We have Sora Shamara. She said, "You women are on fire. I feel so empowered by this panel and will apply what I've consumed this afternoon." So to wrap this up, and I'm even going to put you on the spot, Charmaine, to answer this question. What is one thing you can leave with us today that will help us to have a stronger year in our personal lives and in our professional worlds? So I'm going to hide this comment here. Miss Laverne, what are your final words for us today?
Well, my final words are basically what I've been saying the whole time. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Why think that I can't? It's just as easy to think that I can. And as quiet as it's kept, you can. It may require some work. It is going to require some work, but you can do it. And I believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you.
All right. And that's Census Bureau finest right there. So she knows what she's talking about. All right, Miss Charmaine, our hostess of the Moses.
Well, as I said earlier, I believe in mentoring. I believe in mentoring, not only you being a mentor, but also seeking a mentor. Growing up in my career, I did not have one in the beginning, but when I got a mentor, somebody that can help guide you into the career or the profession, regardless of whether it's personal or professional, can help you in any magnitude. So seek out a mentor and also give back. Become a mentor to someone else. As we said, pull somebody up with you. That's important.
All right. And a question that we received is, what can I, as an individual man, do to help change the system?
Wow.
Before I continue to go around the room, does anyone want to take a stab at this question that's been posed?
Well,
I think the fact that you're here on this webinar is evidence that you are doing what you can do to help change the system. You're supporting women. You're being an abolitionist for people who are different from who you are. And I think that's something that we all can learn from. So thank you for just your presence here. For me, it gives me deep hope that there are people like you out there who care about women, the plight of women, and the challenges that women face. And we will do the same for you, because men face challenges too.
All right.
I was going to say this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say the same thing. And, it's fantastic that you're here and that you're supportive, and just continue to be an ally. Allies are extremely important.
Right. The system is organic. And so it's not the architecture itself is organic. And so, by being here, it's great. Also checking privilege and talking to a person when they haven't necessarily done something that is aligned with being expansive and being inclusive. That's a great way when you can stick up for a person in a professional context and a personal context.
All right. And did you all want to use those as your final words, or do you all have more to give? Miss Yolanda, Miss Erica, Miss Mercedes, to close us out?
For me, your crown has already been paid for, ma'am, sir, mix. There are so many people that have come before you that have bled, died, survived, thrived for you to be to this point where we're sitting on a Zoom. So remember that. And I hope you fail. And I hope you fail mightily, because I promise you, even embedded within your DNA is your resilience and your ability to make a way out of none.
Awesome.
Ditto on that.
Miss Mercedes.
I would say reach for the stars. The sky's the limit. Anything's possible. And you might have a rough day. Someone might, critique you about something, but dust yourself off and get back up. Tomorrow's a new day. So keep pushing and keep fighting.
Awesome.
You, that's Superman pose.
All right. Well, on behalf of the Zeta Mu chapter, I want to thank you all so much for your time and energy and positive words. I also want to thank Sora Judy Belton and Sora Alicia Belton, Sora Crystal, Sora Narissa. I mean, it's a lot of women that are in the background right now. Narissa Marks, happy birthday, and they are in the background. They helped to build this amazing event with Sora Charmaine and Sora Yolanda. I mean, it's been very meticulous. It's been months put together of them meeting every Sunday, ensuring they had the best women for the panel. So if you are here on the panel, just know that it was a very big conversation for the chapter, for the ladies on this committee, to ensure that we had the best of the best come up here and speak to us in our warm market. So we appreciate you all. We hope to have you back to support any other events and engagements we may have. And Erica, I was told you are on the West Coast. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So she said she had to get up and get right and ready to be here with us today. So we appreciate you. And if you would like to support any other events that we have in the Zeta Mu chapter, be sure to always follow our social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, which is now X, all of the above. And embedded in all of those different Facebook pages is a link tree that will allow you to get tickets to our latest events, support our fundraisers. If I'm not mistaken, we have one coming up. Shout out to our newest line, The Pearls. They have a fundraiser launching very, very soon for Mother's Day. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you all again. Thank you to all the chapters that joined us today. And especially a huge thank you to the ladies of the Zeta Mu chapter and our president-elect, Wendy Big Jacks, who joined us. And until the next time, you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and happy Easter.